So you're thinking about teaching a beginning digital photography class for moms. But are you ready? Are you qualified? Do you know enough? Will you ever know enough? What do you have to have? What does it matter at all? There's so many fears and so many questions. So if you are wondering if you are ready to teach a class, girlfriend, guy friend, you are normal and wondering if you're ready is a big common question that people ask all the time. In this video, I'm gonna talk to you about what you need, what you don't, and how to shake off the insecurities, so keep watching. Hey, I'm Cyrissa. I'm the owner of Immerse Photography here in the heart of Ohio and the voice behind Sparkle Society, where I encourage, educate, and empower photographers to make informed decisions for their business. I don't want you to just regurgitate and do what everyone else tells you to do. I want you to be able to think about it and make sure it's the right decision for your unique business and your unique gifts. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button and then connect with me on Facebook and Instagram. I'll put the links below. That way you don't miss a darn thing. So wondering if you're qualified to teach is actually a really common question because most photographers, most creative entrepreneurs struggle with the fraud complex. And just do a little bit of Googling and you'll see that it is a real thing and you're not the only one. And in fact, the fact that you're thinking about this and you're wondering, am I qualified, tells us that you care enough about teaching to even ask that question, because a lot of people go into this blindly and not doing their research, not doing the work. And so the fact that you're thinking about it is truly what matters. Here's what I want to encourage you to do. Recognize your gifts. Recognize that you have something to share with the world, and then stand confidently in that strength and in that power, because when you recognize that you have something unique and that there are people out there who desperately need to know this information that you have up in this noggin of yours, you are going to feel so much more confident. So right now, what I want to talk to you about is what are the requirements for teaching a class. Okay, number one, you need to have that technical knowledge. If you can pick your camera and you can look at the lighting and say, well, probably going to be about like an 800 ISO and probably a shutter speed. If you feel pretty darn confident with the technical side of photography, chances are you're ready to teach a beginning photography class. And I'm not talking about mentoring other photographers. I'm simply talking about teaching a digital photography class for moms. If you can confidently shoot in manual and you can take a photo that's horrible and be like, oh, I need to change my shutter speed, or I need to change my aperture, or I need to change my aperture because I want better bokeh. If you can talk through that and you can shoot in manual, then you're right on track to teaching a beginning photography class. If you have the ability to troubleshoot and a willingness to help, my friend, you are ready to teach a class, because the people that will join you in these seats in your classroom, they don't really know much about photography at all. They're gonna come to you with a Sony or a Nikon or a Canon and be like, I don't know how to change my lens, or I don't know why this button is blinking. And if you're willing to sit down with them and troubleshoot and to look in the manual and do some Googling, like Siri is my best friend during a class. If you're willing to do that and you have that technology or that technical knowledge, my friend, you have all the foundations that you need to teach your first beginning photography class, I promise. On the flip side of that, what is not necessary to teach a class? Number one, you do not have to be a professional photographer to teach a beginning photography class. And I know that sounds crazy, and some of you are about to be keyboard warriors right now and be like, yeah, but it's simply not true. I taught beginning photo classes before I was a professional photographer, because I was a professional teacher. I have a master's in art education and taught elementary art for 10 years. And when I first started teaching my photo class, it was for summer in-services for other teachers. So I wasn't a pro photographer yet, but I knew the technical side, I knew photography, and I knew how to help other people. So I taught several years under the blanket of the school district. Now, if you're gonna do something like that, you're gonna wanna make sure that you are legally protective and have insurance. That way nothing can come back on you. So make sure that you do all the steps you need to take to make sure that you're protected, okay? Number two, you don't have to have a studio. And in fact, when I first started teaching classes on my own after I left the school district, I didn't have my own studio. I taught in the local Chamber of Commerce. You guys could go to Panera or a local coffee shop or a boutique and partner with them, teach in their space. They're gonna get sales because people are looking at their cute clothes, and you have a space to teach your class. It's a win-win. So don't let not having a studio hold you back from teaching your first photo class, because that's simply not an obstacle. And the other thing that you don't need to have to teach a photo class is a ton of confidence, because I know when you teach your first class, you're gonna be so nervous the night before. You might not even sleep well. But here's the thing. You need to recognize that your students are going to be way more nervous than you. If you're mentoring other photographers, sure, there's gonna be people who might be smarter than you or know more than you. But when you're teaching a beginning photography class, you guys, I'm telling you, these people, they don't know how to change a lens. They don't know how to control aperture or what aperture even does. They don't even know what button to push. 79% in a national survey, 79% of people when asked, they didn't even not know what aperture was. They didn't know what button to push to change it. So that's the foundation of people that we're working with. It's not other pros, it's moms, it's hobbyists, it's amateurs, it's retirees who simply want to take a better photo. So you guys, there are things that you definitely need to teach, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's all about your head and your heart. There's physical things like a business, like a studio. All of those things don't matter because when there's a will, there's a way. So I want to smash a couple other fears that people have when they're teaching a beginning photography class for moms, right? One of the questions you might be thinking about this is, well, what do I do if I don't know Canon? Or what do I do if I don't know Nikon or Sony? Or here's the thing. If you are expecting to know all of the cameras, all of the brands, all of the things, you are trying to hold yourself to an impossible task. There's no way you're gonna know everything. And in fact, my husband and I actually met working at a camera shop. So I can tell you that camera models and bodies, they change all the time. If you are waiting till you know it all, you are never going to figure it out and you're never gonna teach a class. So you need to shatter that insecurity and just recognize if you shoot Nikon, you're not gonna know Canons. And if you shoot Canons, you're not gonna know Nikons, and that is okay. Remember at the top of the video when I said you have to be willing to troubleshoot and help? What I do during class is I partner people. I put all the Canons together, I put the Sonys together, I put the Nikons together, and I let them help each other. I'll say, all right, we're gonna change your aperture and I'm gonna walk around and help. We're gonna look at your manual, we're gonna do all of those things. But while I do that and I work with the Nikons, I want all the Canons and Sonys to pull out your manuals and work together. And by the time I've gotten to the last group, guess what? They've all figured it out. If you're willing to say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but let's figure it out together, that's half of the battle. And not knowing a different camera model is just no longer an excuse to not teaching a class. So another fear that people have is, what if I'm not able to answer the questions that they ask me? So here's the thing that you need to know in terms of being able to answer those questions. That rarely happens and it always happens. What? Here's the thing, you guys. As people are figuring out their cameras, as they're pushing the buttons, they're gonna ask you a lot of questions. And the large majority of them, you know the answer to because they're very basic. But how do I get that blurry background thing? And why is that button blinking? And what are good settings? Can you just tell me what's the good setting to use at 2 o'clock? They think that there's a formula, and there kind of is, but we all know it's dependent upon light, right? They want to know those very basic things. You know the answers to those questions, right? Because you have the technical knowledge. You wouldn't be watching this video if you didn't, all right? So they're gonna ask those very basic questions. You know those answers. Now, they're gonna be pressing buttons and they're gonna get things blinking and they're gonna be confused and they're gonna have these off-the-wall random questions. It happens every time. They'll be like, hey, why does this happen or why does this? And they'll find some random setting or random button. Here's what I say to them. You know what? That's not a feature that I use very often. I'm gonna go ahead and write down your question and I'm gonna follow up with you later in the Facebook group, so make sure that you guys have all joined that Facebook group. Great time to promo your group, right? Okay, I'm gonna follow up with you guys in the Facebook group. It's not really relevant right now, but I will answer that question later, okay? So what I've done is I've acknowledged them. I've put away, the concern or the fear. You don't need to figure this out now, but I will follow up with you, okay? So that does everything you need to know, because rarely do those random off-the-wall questions that come up, because they do every class, rarely do they demand an immediate answer. And you can go do the research, and I guarantee you're gonna find a video on YouTube or a tutorial, and all you're gonna have to do is copy and paste a link and be like, hey, here's the question that was asked during class, and then here's the answer. Ta-da! So you guys, not knowing the answer to a question, again, simply not a valid excuse for not teaching a digital photography class for moms. Now, before I share the last tip with you, I want to hear from you. What is your number one concern or fear when it comes to teaching a beginning photography class? Because if you're concerned, I want to give you the calmness, the peace, the reassurance that you really do have what it takes to teach a class. So if you have a fear that I haven't yet talked about, throw it in the comments right now, and I promise you I will respond and help calm you down so that you know you can do this. Additionally, I've linked below an 8-step strategy guide. So if you're thinking about teaching your beginning photography class for the first time, don't reinvent the wheel, don't start from the beginning, let me help you out. It's the 8 steps that you need to take before you teach your first class. So go down below, click on that link, and you'll get that download right in your inbox right away. All right, another fear that people have is, what am I gonna do if there's other people teaching a class in my area? Yeah, congratulations. There's always going to be people teaching a class in your area, and there always will be. You guys, there's tons of photographers. I actually have 4 other photographers in a 1-mile square radius here in the heart of my hometown. I have a big box store down the street. They teach photo classes. I've got a camera shop down the street. They teach photo classes, and guess what? Mine still sell out every single time. There's always going to be competition, but that didn't prevent you from starting a photography business, did it? Shouldn't prevent you from teaching a photography class either. Now, what you have to do is you have to find a way to make your class stand out. So for me, I provide mimosas and a coffee bar for my students. And believe me, that gets them talking. We go to lunch together in between my beginning and intermediate classes in the afternoon. We go to lunch together, we bond and we hang out. I have a private Facebook group that they can join afterwards. I have a workbook, and they know that they can reach out to me long after the course to stay connected and ask questions. These are things that makes my class stand out. The other thing that I recognize, and you need to notice this as well, is people hire you as a photographer because they like your style. They like your personality. They like how you work with their kids or husband, right? People are going to take your class for the very same reason. Some people want the black and white, cut and dry technical side. That's why they're going to go to the big box stores or the camera stores. That's what those courses typically offer. But a lot of people want you to answer questions. They're nervous, they're insecure, and they want to be able to ask someone to like, hey, can you come look at this? They want to feel comfortable with someone. So that's why a lot of people are drawn to my classes, because they know, based upon the warmth and the warm fuzzy that I give them, they know that they're in a safe place here and they can ask me questions. People hire you because there's something unique that you offer that they want. People hire your competition for the very same reason. What you have to realize is that there's enough students, there's enough people for everyone, and you want to attract the people who are just right for your business. So competition is always going to be there, but it doesn't mean that you can't shine. Her success is not your failure. Never forget that. Look, I know you're concerned, I know you're worried, I know you're nervous, but here's the thing. You're ready. You wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't. You have the skills, you have the knowledge, and you have the heart to teach a beginning photography class. So stop letting insecurity hold you back and step into your power, step into your light, and share your gifts with the world, because we truly do need you. If you found this video helpful, make sure that you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the Sparkle Society channel, and make sure that you've connected with me on social media, because I want to make sure that your sparkly little butt shines online with social media and business classes. I will see you guys in class. Bye.